Hi everyone, I'm Eleanor from the KU Natural History Museum. Welcome to our online Discovery Day, Brilliant Botany. I am super excited for today's program where we will hear from museum staff, graduate students, and lots of amazing community partners all about the plants around us. Be sure to bookmark the event page because in between today's videos, which will premiere at 10:30, 11 o'clock, 12 noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and even 4:30, we will be sharing even more information and activities on that event page. And if you can't join us all day long, don't worry. The videos will be available in the museum's Facebook video library and on our YouTube channel for later viewing. So let's get started. When most people think about life on Earth, they imagine animals. But animals are only a small part of the plant's life, at least when measured by mass. Most of life on Earth, from tiny cyanobacteria to giant sequoia trees, is actually green. And even the oldest life forms were probably greenish. The oldest known fossils that paleontologists have found are cyanobacteria, which are blue-green algae. And although they aren't plants, they use chlorophyll for photosynthesis to produce their own food. Over geologic time, billions of years, different photosynthesis pathways evolved, enabling different kinds of plants to develop and specialize in all sorts of various environments. Just like the many different kinds of plants that exist around the world, botany, which is the scientific study of plants and plant-like organisms, including lichen and fungi, botany is a very broad field. There are many different kinds of plant biologists and many different ways to practice the science of botany. Some botanists work primarily out in the field. Others work in botanical collections within museums. Some botanists work in laboratories using microscopes or doing plant experiments. And there are also the paleobotanists, who are botanists that study ancient plant life and the relationships of different plant groups over evolutionary time. And with the field of botany being so diverse, so too are the people who practice the science of botany. Earlier this month, from July 6th through the 11th, was Black Botanists Week, which was a celebration of the multiple ways that Black people, as well as Indigenous people and people of color, engage with and appreciate the global diversity of plant life. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the incredible research and science communication highlighted on social media with the hashtag Black Botanists Week. Diverse communities are strong communities. And from an ecological perspective, diverse biological communities are strong communities too. In prairie landscapes and many other types of environments, wildflowers can be instrumental in creating healthy, vibrant habitats. The greater the diversity in plant life, the greater the diversity among insects and other animals that can take advantage of the flowers. Later today, you'll learn about many different species of native flowers as well as grasses and other plants. But right now, I want to show you a fun activity from NASA's Climate Kids project, which is making wildflower seed paper. This is a good way to recycle used paper and make a greeting card that can then be planted and ultimately grow wildflowers.
For this activity, you'll need paper that's been used and ready to be recycled. You'll need scissors or a paper shredder to help you cut it up into little tiny pieces. And you'll need approximately 1.5 cups of the shredded paper. And then you'll put the paper into a bowl of warm water. You'll place the paper into the warm water and then leave it to sit overnight, so approximately 8 hours. After the paper pieces have soaked for about 8 hours, then you'll drain the water from the bowl and gather other items you need for this activity, which include about 4 cups of water and a blender. So make sure that you're using adult supervision when you do this activity. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the paper pieces and the water together into the blender and mix them until they get soupy. Once it's blended, then you can add food coloring if you'd like. So I'm gonna choose to add blue food coloring to mine. And then you're going to put the lid back on and blend it again. For the next part, you will need a 9x13 inch glass baking pan. You'll also need some window screen material, so that's the stuff right here. You'll need either an embroidery hoop or the rings from some mason jars. And then in order to make your screen that will go over the hoop or the little rings, you're gonna have to have scissors so that you can cut it out of the screen material. And what I did was I cut it out such that it's a circle, but it's got these little like flaps, so that then I can use the tape here to tape it and keep the window screen material attached to the hoop. And so this is what my hoop ended up looking like. You can see that it's got the window screen material attached to it. Next, we're going to pour the pulp mixture into our pan, and then we're gonna scoop some of the pulp and put it on top of the embroidery hoop. Then we're going to take the embroidery hoop and we're going to put it on a towel over here and allow the pulp to dry. Before we put it onto the towel, it's important to first allow the water to drain out. So we just want that pulp on the window screen. Now we're ready to add the wildflower seeds. You want to gently pat them into the surface of the pulp so that they stick in there pretty well. So that can take a few minutes as you go through and try and kind of mash each of the seeds into the pulp. Now we wait for the water to be absorbed by our towel. Sometimes you may need to move the hoop so that it can continue absorbing the water. When the towel has absorbed all of the water that it can, then you'll want to remove the screen from the hoop, and then you're going to lay the paper onto a piece of wax paper to finish drying. So what I did was I flipped that screen over and I'm allowing the paper to dry with the seeds on the bottom. And so it'll dry for about 24 hours on the wax paper. If yours is kind of lumpy and thick, you could place another piece of wax paper on top and then put a book on it to provide extra weight to flatten it out. After your seed paper is dried, you can use markers to color on the non-seedy side so that you can create a greeting card for a loved one.
And that's how you make recycled plantable seed paper. Have fun and enjoy the rest of the educational videos today.